What's going on YouTube? So last year, Acura launched a new entry-level SUV called the ADX. And this luxury nameplate costs a lot less than you might expect, with pricing similar to mainstream options like a Toyota RAV4. So, should you put the luxury badge in your driveway? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's start things off with a spec dump. Under the hood of this ADX, you have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 190 horsepower. It's paired to a continuously variable transmission. You have available all-wheel drive, and when you select that, it gets 27 mpg combined. Now, the base price of the ADX is $35,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we'll take it out for a spin to show you the performance, but first we need to go ahead and shut up the hood, take a look at the exterior, as well as what Acura is including on the inside. Now, from the front design, this is the angle where this really looks pretty much exactly the same as other Acura products in the lineup, such as the RDX and its big brother MDX. You've got all those signature design elements, including your signature diamond pentagon grille. We've got the full gloss black finish on this A-Spec model, which throws in some additional more sporty elements. Also the gloss black finish down here on the lower fascia as well. Now, as we move to the headlights, all the ADXs will come standard with projector LED headlights. One thing to note is that it's not the signature jewel eye shape, but they are still LEDs, and you still get that chicane daytime running light and turn signal indicator. Down at the bottom, you have LED fog lamps. Now, as we look at the back, you'll continue to see some of the scaled down design elements from other Acura products like the MDX. Yeah, and let's break down some of those individual design touches. We have a pretty aggressive spoiler up here at the top, an exposed rear wiper, and let's take a look at our taillights. So I'm happy to tell you that they have gone premium for the taillights. These are fully LED across the board. So we have the LED brake light, LED reverse light, and LED amber turn signal indicator. As far as the rest of the design, it's going to be your signature Acura design language. We also have exposed exhaust outlets down here at the bottom. Wheel options on the ADX include 18 and 19-inch options. Since this is the advanced A-Spec, this will give you a gloss black finish for the 19-inch alloy wheels. They match nicely with the gloss black wheel arches and lower part of the body and the urban gray paint color. As far as the mirrors are concerned, we've got a gloss black finish up here. You have standard blind spot monitoring and heating. We also have power folding on this loaded example. Now, at this side of the ADX, overall vehicle length is 185.8 inches, and you might be able to tell that in terms of design, it looks pretty similar to the Honda HR-V. That's, of course, what this ADX is based on, although it is going to be about 5 inches longer in terms of overall vehicle length because they've added some extra to the front end to really spice up the design. In terms of the design, at the side, we have blacked out window surrounds, although we do not have roof rails, which I would have liked to have seen, that's for sure. I do want to point out a new 2026 color edition. It's double Apex Blue Pearl. It's a really cool color, so definitely if you want a spicy ADX, go for that. Now, as far as your active safety features, you get all 4 of those as standard equipment. That will even include things like adaptive cruise control with a traffic jam assist. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the bold red cabin. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point. No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move to the inside. First, here is our key fob. It's the typical Acura key fob. You have a smart entry system of standard equipment and remote start on just this A-Spec advanced trim. Getting inside, grab behind the handle, that will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. And Mason kind of already hinted at it, but we have a spicy red interior on this model. And let's talk about the seating materials to start with. Leatherette seats is what comes standard, but since we have the A-Spec Advanced, that upgrades us to a real leather with the ultra suede inserts. So you can see that design through there, color contrast stitching and details, and the seats themselves are nicely bolstered and pretty comfortable to set in. It also enhances your adjustment, so you have 12 ways of adjustment on this trim level versus the standard 8 ways, and that gives you memory seats as well. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Now as I close up the door, you'll see a little animation go across the display, and let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Now Mason already said, this is based on the HR-V, so there are some familiar elements, but also some things Acura did to kind of elevate the cabin experience. Over here on the door trim, they have a little bit more elaborate stuff going on. So you have the leather covering through here with stitching details. You have a piano black finish through there, and then a two-tone leather and suede that runs to the center section. It's soft touch plastic at the top. The upper dash is soft touch plastic. We have red leather through here with the stitching detail. We have a faux brushed aluminum through there. And then this side of the console is nicely leather padded, but this side actually doesn't have any leather padding for some reason. It's all just going to be a hard touch plastic. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. All right, let's move to individual features. We've got the gauge cluster. First of all, this is a 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster. It's got a few different designs that you can go between, and you do not have a head-up display available on this model. Now, as we move back to the steering wheel, the two A-Spec trims will come with this steering wheel design, which is a flat bottom. It also has a double stitching detail and the perforated leather on the outside edges. Nice feel in the hand overall. You also have real metal paddle shifters, which is a nice touch, and it is heated on this top trim, always manual tilt and telescoping. The top trim throws in rain sensing wipers, and then let's open up our center console storage area here. So, of course, we like to do the donut test here at Car Confections, and one of the reasons we like to do that is because it reveals some interesting things. This ADX actually has 14 donuts in the center console, which is more than an MDX 3-row. So that's your fun fact. Definitely plenty of storage in this console. Now, the rest of the storage is kind of an interesting design. We have this one really deep cup holder right here behind the shifter. Then you have one additional cup holder in front of the shifter. Then you have your standard wireless phone charging pad at the front. As far as the shifter is concerned, it's just a traditional style. Pull back for drive, you can bump back to go into the sport mode, and again you have those paddle shifters if you want to go through simulated gear changes. Heading into reverse, here's our 360-degree camera system. This is included on this A-Spec advanced trim level, and it gives you that overhead view in addition to parking sensors. You also have an electronic parking brake with your brake hold located right there. You have your drive mode control, and you do have an individual drive mode to customize some characteristics together. Now, as we continue our tour through this cabin, we come to the climate control panel. This will be familiar if you've had any recent Honda products. It is a dual zone automatic system. When you adjust the temperature up, it turns red. When you adjust it down, it glows blue, which is a nice touch. We have heated seats right over here, and we also have ventilated seats, which are standard on this top trim level. Now, as we move up to the top section here, let's get into the available audio system. So one of the reasons why you might choose the very top trim level is because this upgrades you to a 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. Let's give that a sample right now. Yeah, very nice. This is a good sounding sound system. It really fills up the cabin nicely. It's one of the stronger sound systems in the entry-level luxury space. All right, now let's take a look at the infotainment system. Again, this is one of the more familiar elements to the Honda lineup. This is a 9-inch display. If you choose the top trim, you get this version which has, the full spectrum of features, including Google Maps built in and other Google apps like Google Assistant and the Play Store. If you get a lower end version, you won't get that stuff, but you will still have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Up top, we have an auto dimming mirror, no HomeLink universal remotes. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this is a pretty large piece of glass, and the front panel does open up. But what about the ADX's rear seat area? I think you'll be pretty impressed with this because the HRV is really big, and of course that translates over here to the ADX as well. So in terms of legroom, let's go ahead and hit that first and foremost. 37.7 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. Both of those figures are going to be very good for this luxury subcompact space. I mean, this is worlds bigger than something like a Lexus UX here in the rear area. That's a big advantage, that's for sure. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I did that is so I can get a realistic knee room figure for you all. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we are looking at 9 inches of additional knee room. That's really good. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of the seats, and these seats are going to be relatively comfortable. They're a little low to the ground, I will point that out, and they actually do not have recline, so I wish they had at least included that. As far as features, we do have a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside. We're also going to additionally have vents that are standard equipment as well as USB ports. No heated rear seats are offered on the ADX. And over on the door trim, I'm a little disappointed to tell you this is all hard-touch plastic through the center section and on the upper part, but we do have a padded armrest portion and a bottle storage down in the very bottom. Walking up to the tailgates, one of the things that the ADX includes across the board is a power tailgate with the hands-free function as well. And let's talk about cargo space. So 24 cubic feet is what you can expect behind the second row of seats if I reach up here and fold them down. By the way, they fold 60-40 split. That's going to give me my maximum of 55 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Now, compared to other luxury subcompact SUVs, that's going to be on the mid to upper end. It's not exactly the largest, but it is a very good cargo figure, that's for sure. And speaking of all the options that you could be also considering, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at numerous vehicle segments and ranked each vehicle in each category, things like cargo capacity, rear seat room, interior luxury, technology, powertrain choices, and value. So you can sort the list based on the categories that matter most to you to really make an informed buying decision. So do yourself a favor and check that out if you're interested in looking at purchasing a vehicle. Now, let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures for the ADX. As far as cargo length behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, we are looking at 71 inches of length. From behind the second row, 35 inches of length. As far as the opening, 43 inches wide. The height, 29 inches tall. And let's do the load and height as well. That's going to be really good, 28 inches, so you don't have to really load too much up. And then let's lift up the floor. Underneath the floor, there's a little bit of extra space. And furthermore, you also have a spare tire, which is something that a lot of its competitors kind of cheap out on. Well, guys, we're behind the wheel of the 2026 Acura ADX. In this test drive, we'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration before we get things like our sound level reading. All right, that takes us up to 60 miles per hour. So, as far as the powertrain on the ADX, it's just one option, as we mentioned with the spec dump at the beginning. It's a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, makes 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque. Now, typically in this segment of vehicle, which is your entry-level luxury crossover, power figures are not overly impressive. This is going to be on the lower end of even that segment of vehicle, so not very quick overall. You're looking at 8.8 seconds, 0 to 60, so you know it's a little bit of an improvement over what you get in an equivalent like HRV, but not a ton of improvement. Yeah, when we first drove this model back in California, I think we were a little disappointed with the overall power experience that you get here. I will say it is an upgrade over the HRV, but yeah, like Drew said, it is going to be definitely a little bit on the slower side for this segment with the, close to 9 seconds, 0 to 60, that's for sure. Things like the Audi Q3, the BMW X1, those are going to be way faster than this in terms of their performance, that's for sure. Now, a lot of you guys may not mind that at all, so that's something to consider. If you're not, someone that does 0 to 60 all the time, you probably won't mind it too much, but that is a big distinction between these two models.
Now, accelerating up that hill is a good time to point out the transmission. It's a continuously variable transmission. Overall, it is fairly responsive. Also, you heard earlier when you actually are going wide open throttle, that will give you a shift simulation.
Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, it is via front-wheel drive as standard equipment or all-wheel drive. I do want to point out this is not Acura's SH all-wheel drive. It's just a regular all-wheel drive system, so that is something worth noting. As far as the fuel economy, it's 28 or 27 miles per gallon combined with front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive respectively.
Trying out sport mode here. And you can also use those paddle shifters. They're really nice feeling paddle shifters. And the sport mode does bring in some kind of simulated artificial noise.
Speaking of noise, let's get our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. I put us on fan speed 1. Drew went ahead and put us back on the normal drive mode, and we'll see how quiet this is. 54.9 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading. We don't sit here and guess how it compares to rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And I'm finally glad that we are back home in Kentucky to give that official sound level reading, because last time we tested it out, it was in California. That's going to be a pretty decent reading for this luxury subcompact space, although the BMW X1 is your reigning champion for this segment. Now, what about the ride quality for the ADX? Now, all models will have a sport-tuned suspension. As we hit some bumps in the road, I have to say the ride quality is pretty nicely done. We have the largest wheels on the outside on this model. It does a great job of soaking things up. We found that in the Honda HR-V before. It really has good ride quality. That's going to translate here on the ADX as well. And you also do have a decent sporty characteristic for this model as well when it comes to your driving dynamics. That's one of the things that Acura and Honda do really well, is just bake in that little bit of athleticism in all of their products. All right, but what's our slam dunk and airball for the ADX? Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk for this model?
We're going to say the slam dunk is the price. This is the most affordable Acura SUV. It's also the most affordable in its segment, and I think that's something to consider because you are, of course, getting a better deal versus much of the competition by a significant amount of money.
Yeah, now on the flip side, our airball is just going to be that, we wish that they had done a little bit more for this ADX. It definitely feels a little bit like a Honda HR-V in certain respects, that's for sure. And I also really wish that they had done something when it comes to the powertrain to offer a hybrid version. For instance, like if you put the Civic Hybrid's powertrain in this, I think that would be a significant upgrade over what this 1.5 liter is, and also a reason to buy it over the HR-V. Although I do really feel like this 1.5 liter is an upgrade, it's just not as much of an upgrade, especially when it comes to fuel economy. Now, the base price of the ADX is a very attractive $35,000, which is what we were mentioning at the intro. And you can see the full lineup of prices on the screen right now, but we have the fully loaded example today. This is the 26 ADX A-Spec Advance. That means we're $44,400 as a base price. We also have $600 paint color, $1,450 destination. We're sitting at $46,450 for a loaded example. It is manufactured in Mexico, and if you're looking to buy an ADX or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. There's even things like a monthly payment calculator, so once more, you can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com. But what about Acura's resale, reliability, and warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Acura as a brand is rated at 49.95% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.04%. Now that's right at the industry average for all vehicle brands, which is pretty good for a luxury brand, although it is slightly less than its main rival, the Lexus brand.
Now, we also have the Combined Reliability Index. With the latest 2026 data, Acura is rated above the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about all of that, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you have a good one. It's 4-year, 50,000 miles for your basic warranty. Powertrain is 6-year and 70,000 miles. You do also get 1 year and 12,000 miles of complimentary maintenance, which is better than most of the German competition. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2026 Acura ADX A-Spec Advance. If you enjoyed hearing about this model, as well as some of the 2026 changes, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.